What was your number one takeaway from the Seahawks win?
It was the lack of in-game adjustment by Josh McDaniels.
Oof.
By Josh McDaniels. Obviously, everyone understands who the Seattle Seahawks are. They can pressure with 4. Mm-hmm. They don't bring a tremendous amount of additional pressures. They obviously did. You saw that. You know that your offense, specifically the left side of your offensive line, they're young, rookies. They struggle. They're going to struggle probably against this defensive front.
Right.
You would have thought, okay, we're going to have some type of adjustment just in case. Well, as the game starts to progress, we see they're starting to bring blitzes off of the slot receiver. Now, as a receiver, and Stephon Diggs did this a couple times just off of instinct, natural reaction is I peek hot. If somebody blitzes off my face, I'm going to give my quarterback an immediate outlet right now. We never saw any of that. So all of this idea of did the offensive line play poorly? Yes. Specifically the left side, the young guys, absolutely. Did Drake May play poorly? Yes. Josh McDaniels could have helped by saying, Drake, this is what we're going to do. We're going to make an adjustment. If they start to bring blitzes off the slot receiver, we're just going to hit them because the safety can't get there to help. Yeah. We're going to force them to adjust to us. And they were getting out of the huddle. That first possession, they were getting out of the huddle with 21 seconds on the play clock. That very first possession, I'm like, okay, they're giving Drake May enough time to assess what's going on, process things, make any adjustments that's needed, if needed. He gets sacked. He scrambles. It's 3rd and 9. They get out of the huddle late. They bring the first blitz with Witherspoon. And it's like you didn't even give him a chance to try to see it, make an adjustment, but it happened for the duration of the game. Yeah. There was no adjustment. And it blows my mind when coordinators or coaches say, we're going to get it at halftime. We're going to get it. No, you get to the sideline, and the first thing we grab is these iPads, and we look at it, and we say, okay, if we see this, this is what we're going to do. Make the adjustment now. We're professionals. You have to, this game is too important to wait. Like, you obviously got caught off guard. Counterpunch with something they never did. And I blame Josh McDaniels for that. Now, not solely and exclusively, right, but he deserves a lion's share of the blame for what we saw or the lack of what we saw offensively.
Yeah, I totally agree with you on that. We thought he would have the answers, right? This is his 10th Super Bowl. We thought he'd have the answers for Drake May. He didn't. And Bill Barnwell made a great point in his article today about how they blitzed with Witherspoon, which they had not done a lot of this season. Right.
Yeah.
And to your point, he blitzed 7 times. Once he got a sack, and then once he got that, whatever you want to call it, where it was the interception turned into a pick 6.
Would have been another.
Yeah, so they never adjusted to that. So Drake did not play well. Receivers weren't really open, but there were times he just missed guys.
Yes.
Where guys were open, he overthrew them or underthrew them, then missed guys. And he held the ball long, too. Mm-hmm. But Josh did not help him out at all, did not provide him with any answers, which leads me to my biggest takeaway was just Seattle's defense. Because as I said earlier, Patriots defense was played well enough to win a Super Bowl. They only gave up 22 points. We know 5 field goals, only 1 touchdown, and that was on a short field after Drake had a turnover. But Seattle's defense was just so dominant, and being able to get pressure with 4 obviously means they could cover the receivers. And so now I don't put it statistically, and maybe it's one of the all-time great defenses. I don't put it like at the top, like the Ravens in 2000 or something. I don't put it in a group like that. But this defense was the story of the game.
Of course.
Patriots was good too. And the difference is the Patriots quarterback made mistakes, 3 turnovers, and couldn't generate any offense, somewhat because of McDaniels. And Seattle at least generated some degree of offense or enough to win the game.
Yeah, so I think maybe I'll make you feel a little better. Maybe not. You might get angrier. I'm not sure. But I'm not going to blame Josh McDaniels as much as you guys, because nobody could deal with that Seattle defense except for one coach-quarterback combo.
Correct.
And I know we spent a lot of last week discussing why can't Drake May do what Matt Stafford does? And the answer is because he can't yet.
Yeah.
Because he's not 37. He hasn't been in the league 15 years. He, as good as McDaniels is, he doesn't have Sean McVay. Puka and Devontae are not Diggs and Booty. And it's just, you just can't. Right. And the biggest reason I think we are not including Seattle amongst those all-time defenses is because the Rams beat them up a couple times. But when you look Baker, at, you know what, Baker, the one game, but Baker, everyone other than Stafford is 15 a game. It's 17 touchdowns, 21 picks. It's a 74 rating. And this is also where, like, it is no young quarterback succeed against Mike McDonald. They are now 1-10. They score less than 16 points a game. They have a 2 to 3 touchdown to turnover ratio. They have passer rating below 70. And any quarterback of any age, KW, the first time they see Mike McDonald's defense, gets beat up.
Yeah. It took them 40 minutes to finally talk about the Seattle Seahawks. Everything was New England Patriots, New England Patriots. It's reminiscent of the Eagles in the Super Bowl last year. To his credit, Collinsworth kept trying to bring up Seattle. He kept saying, "We have to give credit to Seattle here. That's not what happened last year. Last year's broadcast was all about the Chiefs." I remember when they asked Tom Brady about Mahomes losing, and he said, "I remember when I lost a Super Bowl." Why aren't you talking about the first time you won a Super Bowl? Comparing that to Jalen Hurts, instead of talking about your feelings about losing and projecting that onto Mahomes, it was bonkers. And you still see that momentum in the media today. Greg's biggest takeaway? Silly. Bruised too. The biggest takeaway should be this. The Seattle Seahawks were the best team in the NFL. Some Chiefs fan troll whose heart is breaking that his team isn't playing asked me, "Why don't you make another video saying the Seahawks are the best?" Here you go, buddy. The Seattle Seahawks are the best team in the NFL. They just are. One of the biggest reasons, it's not even just Stafford. A lot of it is Sean McVay. He knows how to attack that defense. But remember, in that first game, Sam Darnold kept turning the ball over. 4 interceptions, 4 turnovers, short fields. Stafford had like 150 yards. Nothing crazy. For teams trying to beat the Seahawks, the mantra had to be, the only way we lose is by beating ourselves. I said it again and again. If you get the best version of the Seahawks versus the best version of the Patriots, the Seahawks win, and it's not close. We didn't even get the best version of the Seahawks, and it still wasn't close. It was a masterclass on both sides of the ball. Brilliant execution. All those little plays that added up. A couple big throws from Sam. A couple big runs from Walker. A big catch from Kupp. Not 65-yard touchdowns, just moments that kept the momentum moving forward. Led to field goals, but that's all they needed with that defense blanketing everything. Greg said Josh McDaniels needed to make adjustments, get Diggs involved, bring the safety down. Dude, the Seahawks have insane closeout speed. That's what they did to the 49ers. Sure, throw that 5-yard pass, 3-yard pass, and then go nowhere. And to think the Seahawks wouldn't have had an answer? Of course they would. The biggest problem? When the Seahawks did get got, blown coverage, whatever. Drake May missed. Straight up missed. Collinsworth pointed it out in the fourth quarter. When you get that opportunity against even the best defense, you have to execute. He couldn't do it. Sam missed some throws, too. The Rashid Shaheed ball would have officially ended the game, but the margin of error was wider for Seattle. For the Patriots, it was non-existent. The Seahawks were just straight up the better team, the best team in the NFL. That's the takeaway. And like Collinsworth said, this is what this team has been doing all season. People just weren't watching. We have it drilled into our heads. It has to be the Rams, the Patriots, the Chiefs, the Bills, the Ravens. The teams we know, the quarterbacks we know, the coaching staffs we know, the teams the media loves to talk about. Nick Wright himself admitted at the end of the season, "Oh, this team is actually pretty good, but we don't really talk about them that much." You don't talk about the best team in the NFL that much? Do you know how insane that is? It's insane. I'm hyper aware of this because it's what I do. I'm hunting for clips, hunting to make videos. It's all on my radar to the max. This is something the media does, football, basketball, baseball, whatever. They have their teams and their players they just can't let go of. They keep talking about them again and again. F1 does this better. They have Lewis Hamilton, the LeBron James of Formula One. He hasn't been as good lately, doesn't matter. They move on. They talk about who's great now. They don't keep asking, what's happening to Lewis? They focus on who's at the top. That is not what happens here. The Seahawks were clearly the best team in the NFL, and yet there were way more conversations about the Chiefs, way more conversations about the Patriots going into the Super Bowl. Heck, we had more sound bites about the Dallas Cowboys. Oh, the Cowboys are actually the best team. They're the most dangerous team in the NFC. Nick, Colin, everyone crowning them. What were we talking about? It's funny because both the Seahawks and Eagles won in dominant fashion, and both times people were like, how did this happen? It's like, because they were respectively the best team in the NFL during their own seasons. Great defense, great offense, win multiple ways. When you go up against a team not on your level, it's not close. Previous years, we had the 49ers and Chiefs, teams everyone thought were amazing. But even with the Seahawks as the #1 seed, people weren't believing. Even when the Eagles won, it was, they're lucky they're not facing the Lions. The real Super Bowl is Bills-Chiefs. Really? How'd that work out? We get obsessed with preconceived notions. Obsessed with our conclusions, we can't look beyond them. You have to be okay changing your mind. You have to be okay with new information. Last season, I didn't think the Seahawks were good enough. Fans were mad. I said, I don't think you're a good team. They said I had no idea what I was talking about. Then Sam Darnold lost in the playoffs. See, he's a pumpkin. He's trash. I said, no, he's great. You have no idea what you're talking about. Then Sam goes to Seattle. Kubiak comes in. I said, Seahawks are going to be awesome. You don't know what you're talking about. Now a troll in my comments says, this isn't the dunk you think it is. What Nick said was widely accepted, not controversial. So, because something is widely accepted, it's correct? Yikes. That line of thinking has led to some of the most awful things in world history. Easy with that, buddy. I said this going into the Super Bowl. This team is stacked. You just don't realize it. You don't know the names. They're not the usual suspects. Chris Jones, Tyreek, Kelsey, A.J. Brown, Devonta. But this team is them. The coaching staff is awesome. Just because the media isn't as obsessed with Mike Macdonald as they are with Sean McVay. Think about how little we saw Mike Macdonald during the Super Bowl, the literal Super Bowl, and they barely showed him. I still see Sean McVay every time I close my eyes. Every 76 seconds, there he is. How often did we see Clint Kubiak? I can't recall. I do remember seeing a lot of Mike Vrabel, though. They get obsessed with the stories, with the people we know, with the narratives they've crafted. You can see the story they wanted to be true. Last year it was on full display. They absolutely wanted the Chiefs to three-peat. I still remember halftime when the Eagles were up 24-0 and the broadcast team went pale. The Chiefs can still... Why aren't you talking about the greatness of the Philadelphia Eagles? We're seeing similarities now. I don't think it's as aggressive. I think more people were rooting for the Seahawks than the Eagles got. But it's still crazy. The Seahawks are clearly the best team in the NFL. Nick Wright conceded they didn't talk about them enough. Then 40 minutes into the show, they finally get a Seahawks segment. Greg, take it away. And he goes, Josh McDaniels didn't do enough. Oh, come on, man. This is about the Seattle Seahawks. This is about the greatness of this franchise. This isn't even just the defense. This is everything. This is an organizational win. I said it earlier. The moment the Eagles won the Super Bowl last year, the season was officially over. The Seattle Seahawks won every single day after that. The offseason, the regular season, the postseason, every move they made was perfect. The Rams didn't do that. That's why they had issues. The Eagles didn't. That's why they had issues. The Chiefs didn't. That's why they had issues. The Bills didn't. That's why they had issues. The Seahawks were flawless. Think about it. A brand new quarterback and a brand new offensive coach. Let's not pretend that's easy. That's insane. One thing bringing in a new quarterback with an established coach who has relationships with the receivers, the running back. No, not at all. Brand new coach, brand new quarterback. And your ultimate weapon? A young wide receiver in year 2. What? It's crazy. This Seahawks team was the best team at every level, on every single day. Even the games they lost, they were the better team. They were. And they proved it in the Super Bowl. What's your biggest takeaway from the Seahawks win? How do you feel about the conversation since? Let me know in the comments. Subscribe. Thumbs up. Thank you. See you next time.